Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Love Kind Good. I'm Josh, and on this channel I want to share my experience and my thoughts on my journey to seeking happiness. And I call it a journey, and I say seeking happiness because I don't feel like it's ever going to be a destination that I actually reach. I feel like it's a daily process to remain centered and grounded and present for my life today. So this week's video, I want to talk about someone that I've been working on getting over. And that has not been a very easy process. Since my divorce, it's been one of the harder things I've had to deal with emotionally. And so I'll give you a little backstory. So when I was initially going through my divorce, I met this person, and I used to say that he saved my life, and to a certain extent, I believe that, but I no longer believe it in the way that I had originally thought. Like, I guess in the beginning, I kind of thought of him as my savior, and it almost like I put him on a pedestal because of that. And so whenever you do that, you're bound to they're bound to fall off that pedestal, basically. So and so when I was going through my divorce, this is the one person who kept asking me, "Are you sure this is what you want? You guys have been together for so many years, like you should really give this some thought." And and I had, so it wasn't a rash decision, I guess you could say. And so he also was the one that encouraged me to leave Mexico. He was adamant that what I am seeking is the happiness that I'm seeking has to come from within me. And man, that is like the freaking most wonderful advice anyone had given me or said to me or did for me during this time period. And I gave him so much credit for that. He has such a sincere way of expressing his ideas, and he's like an old soul and a younger body, and so I'm very thankful and appreciative that he gave me that advice, because I did come back to the States. I did start the divorce process here, and then I went so fast on this journey. I was grasping at every little thing to find happiness. I dove into spirituality, breath work, exercise, seeking adventure. I was saying yes to everything in my life. I was if my life is going to be flipped upside down, then I'm going to take this to the extreme, I guess. So I was saying yes to whatever would come my way. Spontaneous trips to places I'd never gone, going to foreign countries to go on spiritual retreats, and whatever my intuition, whatever I had this feeling to do, I would do. And it was all because he told me that the happiness I seek is within me. And to be honest, during this period of time, my soul and my spirit was so dark that I couldn't see, and I kept a lot of this from people. I didn't really talk about it, which in hindsight was probably the bad thing to do, because I think no, I'm not even going to say that. I was about to say, if my ex-husband knew the gravity or the darkness that I was in, then there could have been a possibility of saving the marriage. But he knew, and he knew the darkness, and there was just no hope at that point. And I knew if something had to change it, I was going to have to change it. Anyways, let me not get off track with that. That could be another video if you guys want to hear about the ending of my marriage. So anyway, so I left him. I spent the next few months traveling, exploring, doing a lot of work. I had a therapist, breathwork coaches, gurus, astrologers. I went on a spiritual retreat. I went to Portugal, LA. Like I just did all these things, and I'm glad I did. It made me feel alive and free, and I became the yes man. And I'm a Cancer by nature. My sun and moon are both Cancer, and so I'm a very conservative, almost boring person. Like I like routine, I like home. So for me to not really have a home and to just say yes and explore spontaneously, like, oh my God, just is unlike me. And it made me feel the most alive I've ever felt. So anyway, so I did all this work, and a few months ago, he reached out to me and was like, I want you here, basically. And I was like, well, you've never asked me to come to Mexico. Like, you've never asked me to come back. And so it was like, I need some time to think about this. And then I had asked him, like, okay, if I come back, how do you see our relationship? And he was like, well, I would, I work during the week and I would see you on weekends. And at first that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because I was kind of like, I kind of felt like a part-time boyfriend then. I don't know. I'm sure that could have been worked out. I'm not sure. In fact, I just know that didn't rub me the right way. It just kind of felt like I was an option on the weekends or something. And, I don't know, but it just rubbed me the wrong way. So then I was like, I need some time to think about this. And I think like a week later, I went back and was like, okay, I'm in. And then I don't know if it's because I said yes, but then he was like, I don't think I'm ready for a relationship. I don't think I can be faithful to you. And because that was that's one of my things. I'm a very monogamous person. I don't believe in polyamorous relationships. I don't think there's anything wrong with them if you can make it work. But I just know for me and my personality, a polyamorous relationship or an open relationship just is not in the cards for me. I know that about myself, and now I can set that boundary up front. So I was like, okay, well, that's not going to work for me. And we just went on. I eventually went back to Mexico, but not for him. So fast forward about a month or so, we're looking at November now, mid-November, I think. I went back to Mexico, and this is where things start getting interesting. So he knew I was coming back to Mexico, because during this time we'd still casually talked, just casually, hello, and how are you, and things are going good in my life, things are going good in yours, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so then I'm landing, and he's like, oh, I'd love to see you. Can I come over? And I was like, sure, yeah, absolutely, I'd love that. And so he comes over, and we have a good time. He stays the night. Being around him is very easy. He's easygoing. We have a good time together. And then he stays the night again and again. And, at first it was like, wow, this is really good. He's like, we're acting like a couple, like cooking dinner together. What time will you be home? Let's go for a walk. Let's do this. Let's fall asleep together, and all the signs are like, we're a couple. So time continues to go by. And then at some point I learned that he is renovating his bathroom. And so I start to think like, okay, like, so I don't know why I had this thought, but I was just kind of like, am I being used for a place to stay? But like when we're together, like it never felt that way. And then there were some other like kind of signs that I started to feel like coming home later. At one point there was even like 2 hours later, and there was no messages about like, hey, I'm working late or I'll be home late. And and I know there's some cultural differences between us. I do recognize that, and I know there are some, but I didn't. But for me, it was kind of a sudden thing, and it just I don't know. I started to get this intuition or this gut feeling about something. So anyway, so at some point I was just like, I think this was like 2 weeks in, and like he had been at my house for 2 weeks straight, and at some point I was just like, this warning signs were just I don't know, something just began to not feel right. So I was like, at this point I was just like, I think you might want to just go home and stay at your house. And we kind of just ended it at that point. And then and so so then that began this kind of series of back and forth between us. He would leave, there'd be a couple days silence, and then there would be a message, oh, I miss you, and we were both doing this, so it's not just him or me. And then like I would go through these moments where I'd be like, this isn't working, this isn't healthy. And then so this kind of back and forth continued for a few weeks, and I mean, it got so dysfunctional. Like at one point, I had, we had this conversation about like us not being a couple, and I began to kind of go out on dates with other people, and I had mentioned it to him one time. I was like, hey, what are we doing? And I need clarification on what we're doing again, because I recently went on this date with somebody, and I just need to kind of understand what's going on. And he got like all upset and defensive, and like just I didn't understand his reaction. And I was like, we're not dating. Like, what do you not understand about this? And because I needed to personally understand where we stood. And then so we continued this back and forth. And then at this juncture, at this point, for me, it just became very dysfunctional for me, because I like was getting signs that we're a couple and that we're together. And then I was getting these, and then like I noticed him on an app, and I was like, okay, well, people don't usually go on that app if they're not looking. And so then I was like, okay, Josh, this is the point where I was like, okay, this needs to end. And then like at this point, like everything I was seeing him and the memories. And so then I like left, and I went to Mexico City for a week, and we started talking again, and it was just back and forth. And by this time it's Christmas time, and I knew that Christmas was the last engagement he and I had planned together. So Christmas morning, we had a lovely Christmas together. I think I mentioned this in one of the other videos. And then I left on Christmas, or the day after Christmas, on the 26th, I left to come back to the States. And I had this intuitive feeling that I needed to leave. I didn't understand why or know why. Perhaps it was the universe saying that I needed to remove myself from that situation, because he wasn't capable of giving me what I wanted. So that kind of ended everything. And then so circling back to him being my savior, after a lot of therapy, FYI, I do have a therapist. And then I learned through that therapy that, he wasn't necessarily my savior, but he was just one of those energetic people that was able to reflect the light that was already inside me back to me. And so what it did was it helped me find my light again, kind of reignited me. It brought life back into me, but not because he gave me life, but because he showed me that that light is still within me. He was a mirror image of my light. And so that speaks volume to his energy, because he is an incredibly intuitive person. He has a great chemistry, great energetic aura about himself. He carries himself well. He's a very happy person. And so it just hurt because I was so attached to him because I could see the type of boyfriend that he could be. Like I seen the goodness that was in him. I seen there was just so much about him that I just adored. But I wrote in my journal recently, and I'll read it to you guys a little bit, just an excerpt. All right, and some of this I had already touched on in the video, so just bear with me. But let's see, I'll start right here. Told me I needed to leave Mexico because the happiness I saw had to come from within. It was in that moment that our social contract was fulfilled. Even though the ending or the closure to our relationship is a little messy, I will never, ever in this lifetime forget him. When I first met him, I used to say he saved my life, and maybe there's some truth to that, but really the gift of reflecting my light back at me saved my life. Unfortunately, his magnetic pull is so strong, I can't be just friends with him. As much as my heart wants it, my head will win. This is for my own protection that I know this truth. I will always love him, and now I have the closure I need to move on and to share this love with someone who is ready to receive it. You know, it's been a process to get to this point, but you know, there's just no way that I can be friends with him. It's one of those situations where it wouldn't be healthy for me to even try. And so the lesson there is like when someone tells you who they are, you know, he told me months ago that, you know, he couldn't have a relationship with me. You know, it's easy to look back now and say, yeah, you should have listened to that. But sometimes you have to go through these, you know, these messy journeys to really grasp the lesson that needs to be learned there. I think I also learned that not every person that comes into your life is meant to stay in your life. You know, he and I had this social contract that was literally was satisfied within a week, maybe 2 weeks tops. And that's where that contract should have ended. But I loved the feeling that social contract between he and I gave me, that I tried to hang on to that for months, driving myself crazy. And you know, I'm not crazy, but I am grateful that out of that, I also realized that I still have love to give. You know, he may not have been the person to have the ability to receive the love I have to give, or even have enough love to give to me. But that reminder that love still exists with me and within me. You know, I say this all the time. Love is the greatest human emotion we have. And I am so grateful that through all of 2024, I never lost that. And in fact, getting my light back has been the most incredible gift that he has given me. I still love him with all my being, but I just know that I can't be with someone who doesn't quite satisfy the emotional security that I need to be in a relationship. I wish him the best, and I've told him that, and I think I think this is an incredible journey. So I hope you got something out of this week's video, and thank you so much for watching. Take care and have a great day, guys. See you next week. Bye.